All right, joining us today is a woman who was a former WCW and WWE manager. She was a former hardcore champion. She's one of the original divas, and she is as stunning as ever. Please welcome Terri Runnels. Terri, thanks so much for joining us.
Steve, thank you for having me. Am I allowed to give you a thank you off the top of the show also for jumping in and filling in when Lindsay, I believe it was when her grandmother died, right? Or no?
Yes. I helped fill in Cigars, Scars, and Superstars.
It's Superstars. And then, bless her heart, do you know what happened after that?
Oh, I did. It's a shame.
Bless
crazy.
her heart. Like the day after she buried her grandmother, her grandfather passed. I mean, it's unreal. So, yeah, you jumped in and helped us out in a pinch. And also you do such great correspondent work for us. So we're happy you're in our family. And I'm so happy to be here on your podcast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, I know they say to never ask a lady her age, which I won't, but you are as beautiful as ever, though, Terri. What is your secret, though? Because you look great today. You're still looking amazing.
Man, you are very sweet, but I am sitting here with no makeup on right now, and I'm looking at, there's a mirror in my mother's guest room that I'm sitting in, and I can see myself, and I promise you it's called smoke and mirrors. That's what helps me. Literally, like I so often am tugging on skin going, oops, okay, I think I need a facelift. Oops, I need to have this done. Oops. But yeah, I haven't done anything in a really long time, so I never tan my face. I don't know if that helps, but yeah, good old fashioned taking care of your skin helps a little bit. So
there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you said Cigars, Scars, and Superstars. If anybody out there who hasn't heard the podcast yet, please go out there and listen to it. TerriShow.com. You can find the links there. We'll post the links too for everybody who hasn't heard. But first and foremost, how did you get into the podcast game, Terri? What made you want to dive into this the realm, if you will?
Well, I will tell you, I've had several people ask me to do a podcast, and I didn't really want to talk wrestling for the entire show. I just felt like there's more to me than just wrestling. And then somebody, kind of came to me and said, well, then talk about what you want to talk about in addition to wrestling. And that appealed to me. And, it depends. I love one thing about our show. First of all, I know our name, Cigars, Scars, and Superstars, is a mouthful. But one thing I love about it is you never really know what's happening next. Like one time we might not have any guest on that has anything to do with wrestling. It might just be someone I find really interesting or amazing in some way, and they're on, as a guest of ours. And then sometimes like this episode right now, episode 10 that's up, that just came up, what's today? Tuesday? Mm-hmm. It just dropped this morning. If you haven't started listening to the podcast yet, this is a great one to jump in on. It's Tony Schiavone and Vince Russo. It goes longer than I like to go because I know we all have busy lives, but it's a great one.
No, I listened to it today, and you guys are also part of the MLW Radio Network too. For everybody listening, everybody knows out there about MLW. How'd you guys get picked up with them?
I decided to, how did I first start? I think I called Tony Schiavone and said the guy that I was initially going to do a podcast with, turned out to be a little bit flaky. And he said, call Court. And I said, okie dokie. And that's how that was done.
Nice. I like to say we kind of painted ourselves into a corner with our name of another wrestling podcast. But I like how you do more than just wrestling, and that's always good to hear. But if we could rewind a little bit, you were a makeup artist at CNN. But how did that lead into pro wrestling? How did you go from a makeup artist into this world of pro wrestling?
Right. So literally, I was makeup artist at CNN. My job was to put on all makeup for any anchors and celebrities that went on air. And then because I was the low man on the totem pole, I just started with them. I had to do weekends. And on the weekends is when Jim Crockett would fly his boys in and tape his shows at Techwood Studios, which was, Ted Turner owned. At the time, it was not bought by Ted Turner. Ted Turner brought WCW later, but at this time it was just still the Jim Crockett NWA shows that they were doing. And so, yeah, I mean, I was a young little whippersnapper, and I had to do makeup for wrestling. And so it was a while. And they asked me, in fact, it was Tony Schiavone that took me to lunch one day, and he said, we have this idea for this character, and what do you think? Do you want to do it? And I said, we need to talk money. And then I said, yes, I'll do it. So I did both for a long time, which put me in the daggum hospital. I worked so daggum much. But anyway, going back to that, I believe that it was an Ole Anderson decision, and then Tony Schiavone executed the plan by, telling me all about it. The only thing I had to do with Alexandra York of the inception of that character was her name. I gave her Alexandra York because I thought it sounded snotty and bitchy, and
Sure.
She was supposed to be snotty and bitchy. So, yeah, that's how that happened.
Sure. Yeah. So from Miss Alexandra York, manager of the York Foundation, you would later also join the WWF. And excuse me, because this might be my New York accent, tomato, but it was Marlena. To me, I always said it the same way, and I think it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things to where I say a lot of different words different.
I say Marlena.
Marlena.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was one of those things, but yeah, Marlena.
But it doesn't offend me if people don't say it the way I say it, because it can be said anyway. So
yeah, it was one of those words I would always say both ways, and I just never, which, it was the same thing, but it sounded either way, But when you joined the WWF, you stood out to me, I think, because I think you were the first ever. Well, maybe the first ever lady I saw smoke a cigar, I think, on TV. I don't
really?
think it was one of those things where I've seen guys smoke cigars on TV and this and that, but it was one of those things that you just stood out to. It was like, wow, I've never seen a girl like this smoke a cigar on TV. And I don't know, it's just one of those memories I have of what stands out to me. But how did you get into cigars? Is this something that you did before as a hobby, or did they say, hey, dude, you're going to smoke a cigar for this character, or what?
No, and I will go back a little bit with Marlena. So Dustin's on the road doing Goldust, and I had this epiphany. Like, I had just been at my sister's, and I'd seen her Bob Mackie Barbie doll called Sun Goddess, and the way she was dressed, and I'm laying there in the tanning bed, I'm going, oh my gosh, like, what is WWF at the time? What does WWF not have right now? They had Scary Sherry, they had Sunny. So those, two had their own, had very distinct characters. And I thought they're missing glamour. And since Goldust is this, like, everything about Hollywood, I thought that old Hollywood glamour that you miss, or that you only see, at the Oscars, I thought that's so perfect. And she can be, since Goldust is, supposed to be androgynous of sorts, she can be, Marlena Dietrich was one of the first people in Hollywood, females to wear pantsuits and, dress like a man, smoke a cigar, smoke a cigarette, that kind of thing. And so I loved that name because it was kind of an homage to her. Mm-hmm. And then the cigars, that's something I used to do, like, in private. I would do a bubble bath, a glass of wine, and a cigar, and just chill and relax. And I loved it. So I thought, what more perfect. Actually, I told Vince, I said, I either want her to go to the ring carrying a glass of wine, which, that could have been fun too, or I want her to have a cigar. And we decided on the cigar. That was the one thing that they, I did ask for input on that one, but the rest of it, the entire gimmick, everything was mine. And so, it was kind of nice to be able to write off cigars for work because it was a nice little treat.
There you go. Well, like I said, it definitely stood out. It made you stand out, at least from all the other the girls at that time. So it was definitely different. Now with Goldust too, you guys were, I would say, more or less controversial at that time with his character and whatnot. Did anybody, I mean, from wrestlers or anybody that you knew, ever question what you guys were doing? Because it was definitely outside the norm, I think, if you will. You guys were definitely breaking barriers with what you were doing, I believe.
Yeah, in the beginning, Dust. I think there were a few guys that were like, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to work with him. I don't want to do this stuff. But once Dustin never wavered. I'm really proud of him. He could have taken that. And I mean, it was such a crazy, crazy character that Vince came up with. He could have taken that and really fallen on his head, and it would have been a disaster. But because from the minute he said yes, he jumped into it all the way and did it like with no I can't even think of the word I'm trying to say. No barriers, no nothing to hold him back. He just went all out and did it, and I'm proud of him. Did I not answer your question?
No, you answered it. That's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, we see some characters today that kind of there's a newer guy. It kind of reminds me of how Goldust was when he first came in, and it's in WWE's NXT division. I think you don't really have to know who he is or whatnot, but there's a guy out there called the Velveteen Dream, and he's kind of doing what Goldust did. Not the same character or whatnot, but it's almost like he's doing something different to where it just seemed different at that time, and it's definitely it's unique, if you will, but it's something that always stood out to me. Now the Attitude Era, if we fast forward just a little bit, opened the doors for a lot of different things on WWE TV, especially with the competition from WCW. But you were a part of a lot of risque things from
my Lord,
from attire to a lot of other things that happened. But my question is, was there anything maybe ever proposed to you that you just never wanted to do that you could probably tell us about, or just, I don't know, when that kind of whole thing switched over into that Attitude Era? I mean, how did you feel about, just changing that whole character upside down?
Yeah, there was one that I really fought Vince Russo on, and that was the miscarriage. That whole miscarriage thing, and I begged and begged, and I lost that fight. Obviously, because you saw that story. I really didn't like that at all. I hated. Okay, so my child goes to a lovely private school, and these mothers, they would see me on Monday night in a thong, doing a paddle on the pole match, and then I go to pick up my child from school or take her to school on Wednesday morning, and they all look at me like, we saw you last night. Interesting. So it was kind of like it took them a little while to realize that, I'm a normal person. I'm a very domestic person. I loved being mommy. I loved cooking. I loved all, crafts and doing stuff with Dakota. And they soon learned, okay, she's a normal mom. But yeah, initially they were kind of raising their eyebrows going, who in the heck is this woman that has stepped onto our school grounds?
now when that was happening too, I mean, I know they had to change what they were doing on TV to kind of get the ratings. I mean, they had to do something different, something where people were gonna tune in. But was it I don't know, was it a weird environment for you to where did things change too fast for you as far as what you were doing, maybe, to where like, hey, one minute you're dressed in this elegant gown to now you're not wearing as much clothes on TV anymore? Did you feel uncomfortable at any point during the Attitude Era, or no?
I felt uncomfortable every time, and I've told this story so many times, I respect the females that want to be wrestlers. I never wanted to be a wrestler. I love taking bumps from the guys. I'll take a bump from a girl, but I don't. My thing was never to be in a match with another girl. And I used to beg Vince, please don't make me do this, please. And, he'd say, oh, you're going to be great. It's going to be great. Okay, well, so for the rest of the day, I would literally want to vomit because I knew I had to be in a match with a girl, and they were going to teach me however many moves that, I was able to remember in an afternoon, and then I had to go out half clad and execute these things that I had just learned that afternoon. So it was I would literally be on pins and needles when I went to TVs waiting to see, can I just manage this time, or can I just be an interviewer, or can I, do I have to wrestle someone? And the minute I found out that I didn't have to wrestle, I was thrilled. I was chilled out the rest of the day. But boy, I tell you, yeah, I said to him, I said, Vince, you know that people excel at things that they want to do, at things they desire to do. I don't desire to do this. Therefore, I'm not going to be the best at it. Please don't make me do it. No, you're going to be awesome. So yep. I just said, okay. And it's funny, I would be standing there at Gorilla and literally wanting to, wet my pants, throw up, everything all at once. But it's crazy. The minute I walked through the curtain, it was like I said, girl, you're going to have to fake it like you are comfortable and happy and all is great. And that's what I did.
You were briefly, too, the hardcore champion. What did you think about that?
Wait. Briefly, put that in giant capital letters with flashing lights. Briefly.
But that was it's in the record books.
Yeah, that night was a fun night, I have to tell you. I ended up, they wanted me in a dress, go figure, got to flash panties back then in the Attitude Era. Yep. I didn't have one, and so they pulled a black dress that was Stephanie's out of one of the seamstresses, had the trunks with all the different drawers, and I think they really quickly cut it off and hemmed it so it would actually fit me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they wanted me in a dress for that. So, but it was a fun night.
Definitely. Now, fast forward many years later, more recently, I saw you at Raw 25. What was it like to be backstage again, maybe with everybody, and just to come out on Raw and see all the fans again?
You know what? It was so awesome to see everyone. That was great. It was like a constant reunion, constantly seeing and being around people that you hadn't seen in a while. A lot of the WWE staff that was there when I was there, they're still there, and it was great to see them. It was really, really nice. It's interesting. I said on my podcast that a lot of us felt like there was something that we could have done than just walk out and wave. Mm. But by no means did I ever mean to insinuate that I was not honored and proud to be on that stage and represent a company and a brand, the Raw brand, that I had been on for so many years and loved for so much. So it was truly an honor, even though I was honest and told a few things that I felt. I was honest, and but like I said, proud and honored to be there.
Definitely. Now, besides your own podcast, what else have you been up to in the wrestling world? Because from what I understand, you're a general manager. Can you tell us about?
Dude, I am like Miss Biatch in charge. First of all, I love the owner, Frank. He's awesome. He's great to work with. Does what he says he'll do. I can always count on him. But I am the general manager of Overdrive Pro Wrestling. Our second show is coming up on May 19th in Nashville at the Fairgrounds. It is so exciting. We've got Austin Aries, Colt Cabana. I'm having an issue with Robbie E right now. He's blowing up my phone, and I'm getting a little peeved with him. But he honestly, he's reminding me of the mosquito that you're trying to slap and make stop the bite, and you every time you slap you miss him. So that's what he's doing to me right now. But anyway, it's going to be a great show. Rock and Roll Express. There's some old stuff, there's some new stuff, and that's one of the things I love. If you were an old school kind of person, you will you'll go, okay, I got my money's worth. If you are a new school kind of person, you'll go, wow, I got my money. It's a great show. So May 19th, be there, be square, guys. I'd love to see you out there.
Definitely. Well, Terri, I could talk to you forever and all night, but
For days.
we only have so much time. But I encourage everybody, for everybody out there listening, where can they follow you, listen to your show? I know terrishow.com. Any other mentions for social media fans listening can find you?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. So all of my social media that is truly mine is the Terri Runnels. That's me. It's interesting. I'll tell you really fast. If you have like 2 minutes for me to tell this WrestleMania 25 story.
Of course.
Not WrestleMania, but Raw 25th anniversary. Mm-hmm. So I see when WWE is promoting this that, and I'm a big stickler for when you write out an email, not an email, a website address, that you should always capitalize the first letter in each word because it makes it easier to read, especially if it's a longer thing. So I'm looking, and as the tweets are coming out from WWE, everyone's is done perfectly with the capitalized first letter, and mine are all lowercase. And I'm thinking, well, that's crappy. So I go and look on my Twitter, and guess what Dum Dum did years ago when she set up her Twitter account? I did it just the way I detest it being done. I did it in all lowercase. So I had no idea that if you change your name in any way, you lose your verification tick. So yeah. So I'm when I changed that so that it would be, correct, now I lost my verification tick. So I find that crazy and strange, but I promise you, even though the tick isn't there right now, it's me. If you go to @the Terri Runnels, we've got awesome shirts. Go to www.cigarssuperstars.com, and if you get one of the shirts, you get a phone call from me. So that's a fun reason. We've got a cute shirt on there that says, "I bought this shirt just so Terri Runnels would call me." I love that shirt. Yeah, it is. So anyway, and our tightly wound jester, we've got one honoring him, and I know there are a lot of tightly wound people in the world, so that shirt's for you guys. And yeah, thank you so much. And if you haven't listened to the show, now's a great time with Tony and Vince on there. So
perfect. Well, Terri, we thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you again soon.
Steve, I love you, man. Thank you.